Yep, there we are.
Yep. Okay, cool. Let me just give that a retweet.
What up, everybody? This is
Okay, here we go.
what's up. Oh yeah, we're on YouTube.
Okay, fantastic.
Nice.
Okay, I've just retweeted that, so hopefully get some more people tuning in.
Yeah, and also if you're on YouTube, I have included some links. I've included a link to Zuby's Twitter page, and also right now I'm adding that in because I realized it didn't save. I'm gonna put in a link to Zuby's book, which is Stronger.
Strong advice.
Strong Advice.
Yeah.
And I think you should definitely go ahead and get it. Can I read your book also? Strong Advice, it seems geared towards men, right?
It's Zuby's Guide to Fitness for everybody. So whether you're male, female, non-binary, gender fluid, whatever you are, it will work for you.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I definitely could benefit from that. I'm really interested in getting fit. And
Nice.
by the way, it's really cool to have Zuby on here. I'm a little bit like starstruck and weird because I didn't actually think that you'd say yes, because you have so many people trying to get you on their shows and you have blown up overnight. I mean, people, you mentioned it, are calling you, you mentioned on your Twitter, calling you the Jordan Peterson of rap.
I called myself that in one of my songs, and that lyric in particular sort of blew up and caught on, so I figured I'd run with it.
So how did that happen?
Oh, wow. So what aspect of it? How far back do you want me to go?
Okay, first of all, how long have you been rapping, and how long have you been kind of like in the public, or at least allowing yourself to be out there?
I started rapping in 2006. Well, I started rapping in 2005. I released my first album in 2006 when I was still in university. Since then, I've released 5 albums and 3 EPs in total. I'll have my 6th album coming out sometime next year. I'm working on that at the moment. And yeah, I've been active on social media for over a decade. I used to be on MySpace back in the days, back in 2005, 2006. I was fairly popular on MySpace. And then I've been on Facebook since 2004. I've been on Facebook for 15 years because my university was the first one in the UK that it came to. So I was on Facebook before I even really started getting serious about my music. Then I've been on Twitter since 2009. I've been on all these things for a long time. I've been around for a while, but it was really early 2019 when things seriously started to blow up for me, and probably 98% of the people who know me now probably discovered me in the past, I don't know, 2 years or so. So it hasn't really been I've been at it for a long time, but it's really hasn't been a linear trajectory at all.
I remember that, by the way.
Okay.
I was following you, I think when you were just like blowing up. And so I remember you having like not a lot of followers comparatively, like just like a little fraction. And then you just blew up and you were like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, beginning of last year, I had 18,000 on Twitter at the beginning of last year, and now it's about 1/3 So it's yeah, and that's just on Twitter. Across the board, it's just grown like crazy. I've gained over 500,000 followers across the board since the beginning of last year. So
whoa.
Yeah.
So you're not like normal. I mean, you're not like normal people who blow up overnight, because most people that I see, because I've seen a lot of people blow up on Twitter or just the internet in general, and usually they blow up and they don't really know what to do with that platform, and they kind of they make like half-assed stuff, shows or whatever. They kind of they make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
So you're like, but you know what you're doing. I see that your stuff has quality. Your videos have quality, and you're even talking to me on like a mic that actually makes sense instead of me.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I've been at all this for a long time. So, I had 8 albums and EPs under my belt. I had a whole merchandise brand under my belt, multiple websites. I had my podcast going, a whole bunch of stuff before I really started to gain more traction. So when those opportunities came, when I got the opportunities to go on Fox News or go on Joe Rogan or go on the Rubin Report or get pulled on this TV station or this or that, like I was ready, right? I was ready. Like I'm prepped. I've already got the material out there. People can see the track record. People can see, oh wow, there's this whole catalog of music and videos and podcasts, etc. So when I had that spark, which came from the viral deadlift video I did at the beginning of last year, I knew how to capitalize on that. I mean, a lot of people think that if it had just been that one tweet, like tweets go viral all the time, you see it all the time, but nothing, the tweet goes viral, but the person doesn't. But in my case, I already had a lot of stuff going on. So that was the thing that brought people in. But then people realized, oh, wow, okay, this guy's actually interesting. He's funny. He's got an interesting perspective. He's intelligent. He makes music. His music is dope, etc. So whatever aspect of it that people are drawn to, it's something that I'm confident about, and it's something that I've that I've been preparing for behind the scenes for many years before the to give an analogy, it's sort of the difference between when like a rapper or a singer or a band like blows up with their music too early and they don't even know how to do live performances, and then suddenly they're thrown on this massive stage and they deliver a terrible performance because they don't know how to perform. But if you have an artist who's been grinding for the years and who's been touring and playing small gigs, etc., you suddenly throw them onto a massive stage and they deliver an amazing show. And I think that's why actually it's good sometimes for things not to come too early, because if they come too early, then you're not actually able to capitalize on them and sustain them, and it just burns out very quickly. And we've seen that with thousands of people across the internet.
Yeah, and can I show the video? I mean, everyone's already seen it, I guess, but I have it here on the share screen, and
Okay.
I finally figured out how to use this feature. So it's basically this over here. I still don't know how to crop out just this part.
Oh, okay. Maybe if you zoom on the make it full screen.
Oh yes.
Yeah, there you go.
You see that?
Legendary moment.
That was like, that was for everybody. That like, of course we're obsessing over that, but then everybody was obsessing. The guys were like, I want to be that guy. The political people were like, yes, he spoke our mind.
Yeah, it intersected a whole lot of different worlds, which is that's one thing I love about like my audience, is that I can kind of do whatever I want. So I'm in all these different spheres. So I'm connected to the world of music and hip hop, obviously, but then I'm also very much in the realm of like politics, both in the UK and in the USA, and social commentary. And then also I'm in like the fitness world and the self-improvement world and the podcasting world and all these different things. And I think that's amazing because it's very easy to get boxed into just one thing. And I'm someone who's really multifaceted, and I like to do and think about a whole bunch of different things. I mean, anyone who follows me on Twitter knows, like, on any given day, you don't know what you're going to get, right? You might get fitness Zuby, you might get political Zuby, you might get just like funny Zuby who's like trolling, like whatever it is. But I've got the freedom to do all of that. Whereas with a lot of people, they're kind of held hostages by their audience, and if they deviate from exactly what people want and exactly what people expect, then people disappear. And I'm very blessed for that not to be the situation. And a lot of people like me, and not just like my work or this particular song or this particular thing, but they actually like me. So it means that whatever I go on to do in the future, I know that there are thousands of people around the world who are going to be open to it and who are going to be willing to back me. And that's honestly, it's a beautiful position to be in. It's what I've been trying to achieve for the past 10 plus years. So the fact that that's happening and that it's growing, it's truly a blessing.
And it's also, it seems like a lot of it is your mindset. Like, do you have anything to say to people who are afraid of being canceled? And I know because I was spent the last 4 years in Washington, D.C., and everybody who's ever talked to anybody who's politically not, nuanced in any way is afraid of being canceled.
Well, this comes back to the point I was just making. I mean, the best way to not be canceled is to build an audience that isn't going to cancel you, right? Imagine if I'd spent my whole music career trying to cater to like left-wing ideology or like all this, look, the music and entertainment world is like hardcore left-wing, right?
Yeah.
It's like straight up, but I've never pandered to that.
Yeah.
Right. I was never like openly political, and I'm still not like in my music isn't super political, but I've always just been me. I've always been open about the fact that I'm me. I've never lied about my beliefs or tried to pander to certain audiences that I don't really want to or whatever. And that means that I don't worry about being canceled because it's your audience that cancels you, right? Like and my audience knows what I'm about. They know what I believe, right? There's no view that I could express that I actually hold in my head that I could get canceled by my audience for, because people already know. Like I've already touched on, I mean, today, like literally I've put out 20 tweets today, like asking questions about like trans ideology and why can't I identify as a different race, or why can't I identify as a different age, etc. And I've been, having this whole discussion, which is totally off limits to like 99% of people in the public sphere, but I can have those conversations, right? I can talk about whatever. I can talk about religion. I can talk about politics. I can say that I would vote for Trump if I'm American. I can say what I want. I can say what I believe, and no one's going to cancel me. I've been challenging the whole COVID narrative, right? And I'm not doing it just to be a contrarian. I'm just saying what I actually believe. And if you do that, then you build an audience that respects you for doing it. As soon as you try to pander to what you're not, or you try to lie or whatever, then you're building your house on very unstable ground. And that's the mistake that a lot of people have made, right? If you want to know why so many celebrities, so many actors in Hollywood, so many musicians, etc., like don't have the nuts to say anything, then it's because they know they've built their house on, this sort of territory. And so if they did come out and they said something that goes against the orthodoxy of their secular cathedral, then they're open to being canceled. And we've seen that happen a lot of times. So yeah, it's longer, it's harder, and it's more difficult. But ultimately, the best thing to do is just be yourself, because then you don't need to hide anything. You don't need to pretend anything. If you are, if you're self-employed, you're financially sufficient, etc., then, if someone tried to cancel me, what do they even come for? Like, I'm independent. Like, you can talk to my employer if you want. It's the same as talking to me. Yeah. So, it doesn't matter. And look, and at the same time, like I am actually very careful with my words. Like, and I genuinely don't hold any. I say it all the time, right? Sometimes once every couple months, I'll tweet like, here's an updated list of all the people I hate, right? And it's just like an empty list. And I don't have any hateful views. I'm a super positive person. I'm a very optimistic person, and I try to put positive vibes out there, and that's something people appreciate. So it's not even like, oh, I'm trying to like hide some horrible bigotry or evil or some really nasty thoughts that I have or whatever. It's like, no, I can just be honest. I can just be myself. And sure, some people don't like it. Some people consider certain things controversial or whatever. But you'll notice, like, I don't attack people on Twitter. I never like target people. I don't harass anyone. I don't like insult anyone, whatever. Sometimes, most of the time, if someone even insults me, I'll normally like let it slide. Once in a while, I will give it back to them. But I don't go on there and just start randomly attacking people. I just ask questions. I share ideas. I share thoughts on all different topics. Sometimes it's motivational. Sometimes it's inspirational. Sometimes it's just something to generate a discussion, whatever it is. But I constantly just try to be, entertaining and informative, and also to get my message out there. And, it seems that resonates with a lot of people.
If you were to insult someone, by the way, like if you were to slap back, it would be a lot more piercing, because they'd be like, I'm even getting smacked by Zuby.
No, I normally would, I would normally block or mute someone before that point comes. Like, and I used to be like really opposed to blocking people. I mean, I didn't block anybody until I got to around 30 or 40,000 followers. My block list was totally empty. And then, once you've got a big account, like, you have to block people. Right, you have to block some people because you just start attracting like a whole bunch of weirdos and a bunch of malicious people and whatever. So there are certain things that, yeah, you know, I gotta keep it clean. But if someone's just being annoying, I'll mute them. But if someone's actually being malicious, or they're trying to get me deplatformed, or they're attacking or abusing my followers or something, then, you know, they can go.
Do you ever get kind of like feel kind of like down?
No.
I know this is a thing that it's like the phenomenon with people who become really successful. In a public space, there's always talk of addiction. I mean, we know a lot of the same people. Do you ever feel like those, you know, demons might be coming for you, like because it's just too much? I don't know.
Not in the slightest, not at all. And I'm very blessed in that regard. I mean, I'm like the most stable person in the world. I'm ultra low in terms of personality traits. I'm like ultra low in neuroticism, which basically means I'm just like this. Like I don't even.
What about like 10 years ago or 15
Sorry?
years? What about like 10 years ago?
No, it's not something I've ever struggled with. I'm pretty much immune to any kind of like depression, anxiety, whatever. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. Like all that stuff it's not a thing for me. And I'm come from such a stable background. I've got such great parents, wonderful family, wonderful siblings. Like I'm just solid, like mentally, both internally and externally. I'm super duper solid in that regard. So I'm very, very fortunate that that's not something that I don't worry about it at all, to be honest. Like I'm very, you know, I have my moments and, you know, ups and downs like everybody does, of course. But emotionally, I'm very like just straight up. My highs aren't super high. My lows aren't super low. I'm just fine. I'm just good. I'm just good all the time.
So would you say that one step toward success is not drinking, or
well,
I know it sounds random, but again, I'm from Washington, D.C. Everyone's drinking all day.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay. I mean, for me, it's a personal choice. Like if people want to drink like within reason, like I don't really care. For me, I mean, you also have to remember I grew up in a country where alcohol was illegal. So it's not even like a big thing to me. A lot of people ask me why I don't drink. And, you know, I'm often like, well, I have no reason to.
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Saudi Arabia.
Whoa.
Yeah.
In like a city or in like a town?
In something which would be called a camp, which is more like a small town, which is owned by, have you ever heard of a company called Aramco? It's the biggest company in the world. Yeah. So my dad used to work for them, and yeah, they basically own like small towns in Saudi Arabia. So they have towns for their employees. So like everyone where I lived worked for the same company, which is kind of like a concept that doesn't really exist, I don't think, so much in the West.
Google Towns.
Oh, okay. Maybe something like that could be similar. So that's where I grew up. I mean, I lived in Saudi for 19 years. And that's where the accent comes from. A lot of people are confused by my accent and wonder why I sound kind of American, etc. It's because I went to an American school in Saudi Arabia for many years. And then I went to school in the UK for a while. I went to university there. And I've been in the UK permanently now for about 12 years.
And yeah, I mean, your American accent is really American sounding.
Yeah, it confuses a lot of people, both here in the UK and in America.
So you speak Arabic?
Unfortunately not, because I went to an American school there. They didn't actually teach it. They only taught Arabic to the Arabic students, which is a massive shame because I should, if my life had just been very slightly different, then I would be trilingual, because also my parents speak Igbo, a Nigerian language. They're totally fluent in that, but they didn't pass it down. So it's kind of a shame because I should know those three languages, you know, English, Igbo, and Arabic, just based off my own background. I don't. Like my French is better than any of the others, barring English, but that's just off my own volition. So no, I don't speak Arabic, unfortunately.
What language should everybody learn?
What language should everybody learn, did you say?
Yeah, like, you know, if I want to, you know, who's dominating the world in the future? I mean, should anyone learn?
Oh wow! Oh, if we're talking that, I don't know, Arabic and Mandarin.
Oh, okay. Oh,
if we're going like that.
yeah, I know quite a few people who are learning Mandarin or who speak it fluently, and it's just like, what? Like,
yeah. I mean, if you're talking about like what, you know, where the world is going in certain ways, then those would honestly be my two. That might scare some people, but that's my honest answer. But I mean, look, I mean, in terms of languages, it's whichever one's going to be most useful to you, right? Like if you want to go live in South America, then learn Spanish or Portuguese. If you're going to Brazil, if you are planning to move to Germany or you live in Germany, then learn German. If you're going to a French-speaking place, learn French, etc. But on a global level, I mean, Spanish is always a good bet. But yeah, Mandarin for the future, I think Mandarin would be very useful for a lot of people.
Okay. And by the way, guys, this is Zuby's like first interview after a really long time because he's been working on his album, his latest album. Can we talk about that, or is it still?
Yeah, of course. No, go ahead.
So what's your latest album about? And
oh wow.
Yeah. Just sneak peek for people here. They won't tell won't tell anyone.
Well, every album to me is sort of like a snapshot of the place where I am in my life and what's going on in my mind, my experiences, etc. And like I said, all my last albums were before so many people knew who I was, and when I hadn't done so many things, I hadn't done this trip to the States, etc. So in terms of this album, I think it's my most a lot of things. I think this album is like, I think it's my most edgy one lyrically, right? I think it's, yeah, like in terms of the stuff I'm saying on there, I think it's more controversial than any of my previous music. Not that it's like not that it's like offensive or anything, but it broaches some stuff, in the same way like people consider my Twitter controversial. It's like, I'll just be open and talk about anything. I think it's my most religious album. Yeah.
Are you religious?
I'm Christian.
Okay.
I don't explicitly make like gospel music or Christian music per se, but there's more elements of that in this album. At the same time, it's like I said, it's kind of harder and more edgy at the same time. It's not like it's not like gospel music per se. It's just like harder. It's going to have a lot more features. I don't tend to do tons of features on my albums, but I think this one's probably going to have like maybe up to 10 other artists featured on it. And yeah, I think lyrically and in terms of the songwriting and the hooks and the production and everything, I want it to be my best one yet. That'll obviously be determined by my audience and my fans. But I'm feeling good about it. It's got a lot of songs on there that I'm very excited to get in the studio and record. So I can't wait to get it out there. It feels like it's been forever since I put out new music. Like so many people don't even know me as a rapper. People know me as all these other things, and a commentator and an interviewer and a podcaster and an author and all these other things I've been doing in the past year and a half. But the number one love is still the music. And so I can't wait to get the new music out there, and hopefully if the situation is chilled out a little bit, actually be able to get on stage again and do some gigs, because I haven't been able to perform for a year. Yeah. So
it's really crazy in the UK right now. I mean, it sounds like you guys aren't allowed to. I mean, it sounds like the UK has also followed Sharia law. They can't have they can't have you can't sleep with anybody there. You're in the same house and you're married. It's like
it's been nuts. It's been nuts. I mean, I've been out of the UK for the past 2 months. I've been in Romania. Yeah. I was in Romania for the past 2 months. So that's why I went there to write my album. I initially planned to go for 1 month, but then they brought in the lockdown in the UK, and so I thought, let me stay another month.
Whoa.
Yeah. So in Romania, there's no lockdown, but they have a mask mandate. So even if you're like standing outside on the street by yourself, like you're supposed to wear a mask at all times, which is totally stupid and anti-scientific. But at least you can go to restaurants there. You can, not everything is open. Like clubs and bars aren't really open, but restaurants are open. You can go out and about, etc. The UK, the lockdown just ended yesterday, so the gyms just reopened yesterday,
Nice.
and stuff is slowly getting back to normal. You know, the benevolent government is going to give people 5 days of Christmas to actually see their families. Look, to be honest, in terms of all the rules and the what, I don't know. I probably shouldn't be saying this on a on a podcast or a live stream, but from the beginning, I've just been doing what I think makes sense. Like whatever the rules and restrictions and laws, whatever, I'm kind of like, if it makes sense, happy to follow it. If it's ridiculous or whatever, then I don't know. But look, I live by myself anyway. Like I was socially distancing before that term was a thing. So it's all good for me.
What countries do you think are right now, like, I mean, we're looking for places to travel.
Sweden,
because I just talked to somebody from Sweden and they said, Hamid, I don't know if he's on this live, if he's watching right now, but apparently they just started doing these lockdowns and it's not
really?
Yeah.
So Sweden has Sweden finally fallen?
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like we all got excited about Sweden and they were like, oh, don't get too excited.
You know, it's funny because the UK was going to do the Sweden approach to begin with, but there was so much media pressure and, you know, public pressure, et cetera, that they decided to be like sheep and follow the rest of the countries into these infinite perpetual lockdowns, et cetera. You know, I wish they'd had a little more testicular fortitude and could have stuck with their initial plan. But look, this year is not defined by logic and reason and proportionality. It's everything's driven on fear and hysteria and people just behaving like sheep and just running along with the crowd, whether or not things make sense. And that's not really how I operate. And not everybody likes me for that, but some people love me for it. So either way, it's just me.
Yeah, and people shouldn't just go along with it. I just got off the phone, by the way, with before coming on the stream, I got off the phone with the owner of, I think it's called DNR Cafe in Portage, Michigan. And I don't know if you saw that video of that guy who he basically photobombed a journalist in Michigan. And so these people were standing in front of this cafe, and basically it was some radio station, some TV station, and they were reporting about how this cafe is breaking lockdown orders by being open. And then the owner of the shop comes out and he's like, wait, you guys don't know anything. And he starts going off at the guy and being like, you know, you're giving stimulus money to special interest groups and you're forcing us to close down and we're just businesses here trying to make money. And that video went viral and I just got off the phone with them.
Okay, good. Yeah, this year's been nutty. This year's been so nutty. I mean, I don't want to spend forever talking about it, but the amount of just it's been a real psychological study of human beings on a collective level. Like after this year, man, like this is going to sound like this is I don't even like saying this, but after this year, all of the events of the 20th century make sense to me. I can now understand how all that stuff happened.
Like what?
Like all the horrors of the 20th century, all the stuff we just don't like, all caught from all the awful stuff that happened under communism, the awful stuff that happened under Nazism, all of these like mass things that just look like mass delusion and mass psychosis and power coming from the top and people just going along with certain things without questioning them, without challenging them. The power of fear on a population, the power of hysteria, the power of social conformity. All of these things, I've just been like, wow, 2020 has been a complete masterclass in this, right? And not saying that, obviously, the mechanism that the goals or the things that are happening are the same, but psychologically, the way that people have responded from a psychological perspective and just what people do when they're fearful, like if you can instill fear across millions of people, then you know, even the way people are attacking each other, right? People remember, I mean, I don't know if you remember, for like a couple of days, people were like, oh wow, there's a bigger enemy, there's a real threat out there, this is gonna this is gonna help unite people. No, instead now we have people fighting, like you have like you have the maskers versus the anti-maskers, you have the anti-lockdown people versus the lockdown people, you have like these people saying you're killing us, you're like, it literally increased division. You saw all the stuff that happened in America after the George Floyd killing, like, and so much of that was like exacerbated by these lockdowns. You've just like everything in 2020, like division has increased. Everyone was like, oh, polarization's going to chill. Division's going to chill. It's like, nope, you've just given people even more things to create rivalries and to create tribalism, etc. And the fact that, and the way that the whole pandemic has just been totally politicized, right? Especially with you got, the US having your election year and everything, like the whole thing's been politicized. It's not about science anymore. It's barely about saving lives. It's barely about what makes sense. It's not about proportionality. It's about what's politically expedient. What's the power grab? How can we do this? How can we manipulate these people, etc.? And, a lot of people are just falling for it and aren't questioning anything. And you're not even allowed to question something, right?
Yeah. Because you're a conspiracy theorist if you ask any questions.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to see your parents, if you want to have dinner with your family for Thanksgiving or Christmas, then you're the conspiracy theorist. If you want to wrap yourself in a bubble and put on 10 different face shields and wear one in your car and socially distance forever, and, for all this, look, for a virus that for most populations has an over 99.9% survival rate, like nobody's going to convince me that all these measures are proportional and justified and backed by science, because they're not. They said that masks don't work, and now they're saying that masks work, and then they're saying masks don't work again. And then they're saying you can do this, but you can't do that. Governors are breaking their rules. Mayors are breaking their rules. Presidents are breaking their own rules. They said that you can't protest the lockdowns, but then it's okay to have thousands of people protesting Black Lives Matter, and that's totally fine. And the governors and mayors are cool with it. Like it's just gaslighting on 500 different levels. If you go into a restaurant, you have to wear a mask when you're standing up. You don't have to wear it when you're sitting down. None of it makes sense. Like nobody's convincing me this stuff is about science. It's just about conformity. Like I said, I was in Romania. You have to wear a mask if you're outside standing by yourself. If I number one, I don't have COVID, and they've been saying all year that it barely transmits outdoors, and there's no one else there. Like, how can I give someone COVID if I don't have it? And like, why am I wearing a mask standing outside minding my own business? Like, it doesn't make sense. But the police are going to approach you and try to fine you if you don't want to do it. And it's like, you can't tell me that's about saving lives, or it's about science or whatever. It's about control. It's about power. Also, and then as soon as you say, yeah, go ahead.
Also, why would someone who's afraid of catching COVID be outside standing next to you?
Yeah, I mean,
stay home. Stay home.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really interesting from a psychological perspective, because like if you go into a room where 100 people are wearing masks and you don't wear a mask, then you feel a natural pressure as a human being. You feel a pressure. Oh gosh, I need to put a mask on. Because everyone else is wearing one. If you go into the same room and no one is wearing one and you are wearing one, you kind of feel stupid. You're like, oh, why am I? So we all know, like, human beings, we're social animals. We're not just like, I always say, like, human beings are herd animals that like to pretend that we're all independent and individual. And it's like, no, like, and it takes, maybe 5%, maybe 10% of the population is willing to go against the herd on pretty much anything. Right? What percentage of people are, if you got a room, if you're in a room with 100 people and 95 of them are all saying the same thing, like, does someone have the balls to say you disagree with them? Most people don't. Let alone if there's like potential repercussions or there's like something fearful or whatever. So it's like people just conform, and the powers that be know this. So they know that if you can get a certain percentage of people to do something, then you don't even need to enforce it, because societal rules will enforce it. And we've seen this all year. People are acting as enforcers. People are, if the police don't roll on you for not wearing a mask when you're supposed to, right? Someone else will, right? Your neighbor will. So they're trying to get neighbors to snitch on each other. They're creating snitch hotlines where people are reporting their own family members, or like all this stuff. Like literally, this is 20th century communist, like this is 20th century communist stuff. And I'm just like, I'm not a historical expert, but I understand psychology. I can see the precedent of what's going on. And look, I think like a lot of people, I'm way more concerned about, infringement on civil liberties and taking away people's basic freedoms and all of the illogical nature of this stuff than I am about this actual disease itself. Right. Yeah. Like a lot of people, I don't want, my parents are in their 60s and 70s. I don't want them to get it. My dad's in his mid 70s. I don't want my dad getting COVID, etc. No one does. But like, that doesn't mean that I don't want to ever visit my parents again, or that we should cancel Christmas, or that I should wear a mask when I'm like sitting here doing like some people wear masks on Zoom calls. I've seen people wear masks on Zoom calls, and I'm like, what is even going on here?
Who's
Like,
that for?
what you know, like what? And they say, oh, they're trying to like normalize it, or they're trying to show. And I'm just like, look, this is insanity, man. This is not about you know, taking rational steps anymore. It's gone so far beyond it, and it's gone on for so long. It went from, you know, 15 days to slow the spread and flatten the curve to, you know, we're going to lock down till nobody dies again. We're going to lock down till there's a vaccine. We're going to lock down. It's like the goal. There have been 500 goalpost shifts. There's too much stuff in the narrative that doesn't make sense. It's too much stuff. Too much stuff in the narrative doesn't make sense.
And it does seem like a convenient excuse to push like communist or at least socialist policies.
Yes.
You see, like, I mean, in the past when we had communism, it was like one country at a time, and they always turn into shithole countries. But could you see the entire world? Because it seems like this is not just the US. It seems like it's happening everywhere at the same time. Can you see the whole world, maybe because of the internet and travel, going under one communist authority?
No. I think some people would. I think there are people out there who would love for that to be the case, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think, you know, they've made at least some temporary headway in that regard, and, you know, they have the whole Great Reset plan and all this, which is not a conspiracy theory. They're totally open about it. It's on the cover of Time magazine. It's on the website of the World Economic Forum, etc. Like, they're very clear about how they're taking advantage of this pandemic to you know, push certain policies. And, you know, they were really using climate change as a vehicle for that before. Now that they've been given another gift with COVID, do I think it'll work on that level? No. I think people, I don't think people are that crazy, and I don't think, you know, the whole, yeah. I mean, so no, as in, I think
not everybody.
No, not everybody, but I think the people who are not, you know, most people do have a breaking point. And for some people, it's that breaking point is far too far, as far as I'm concerned. But no, I don't think they'll be able to institute any kind of one world government across the entire world. It's not just tenable as an idea. I don't think it's tenable in terms of making it happen either, unless they, you know, try to deploy some mass world scale army against all of us, in which case we have bigger problems.
But it seems like and I know I feel kooky for saying this, but like, it really does seem like it's already happened. And it's like, it's not that most people are crazy, actually. It's that most people don't even think about it. So it happened right under our noses. Like, for example, with the vaccine thing, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, and I'm not saying that to be like, you know, PC. I really am not an anti-vaxxer, but I don't think that it should be mandatory. People should be able to have control over what goes in their body. And the fact that you can't, they want to make it so that you can't leave your country without proof that you got a COVID vaccine.
Yep, like, I know.
It's scary.
It is scary. And look, I've been saying this since like March, April, right? And people are, oh, anti-vaxxer, conspiracy. People think like just by throwing the word conspiracy theory out there that they can, that it's an argument, or that they can silence you or whatever. And again, that works on a lot of people, but, you know, some of us are made of tougher stuff, and I don't really care what label or name or whatever someone tries to throw on me. Like, I don't care. Like, if someone wants to call me a conspiracy theorist, I don't care. If someone wants to call me, I've been called every stupid thing under the sun, but I legit don't care. If someone has an argument, then I'm happy to hear it. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, this is 1 year where the so-called conspiracy theorists have been like right all along, and the non-conspiracy theorists have been, you know, and every time they're proven wrong, like, you know, they just shift the goalposts, or they pretend that, you know, now if you say that you talk about the survival rate, people are like, oh, but the long-term effects. And it's like, no one was talking about long-term effects before. Everyone was talking about the death rates, and the death rate is the thing the media has been hyping and keeping everybody scared and giving no context for either, right? They don't talk about how many people die every year or every single day of the flu, of traffic accidents, of suicides, of homicides, of cancer, of obesity, of diabetes, all these things which kill
smoking.
So many. Look, yeah, smoking, like alcohol. COVID is not in the, I don't believe in the UK, I don't think it's in the top 10. I don't think it's in the top 10 causes of death. Don't quote me on that, but I don't think it's in the top 10. But it certainly gets 1,000 times the media attention. And why is that? It's because people are trying to push an agenda. They're trying to keep people scared, and people are very like narrow-minded. It's hard for people to look holistically and see the big picture. So yeah, if you obsess over COVID and you just focus on that one thing, and that's those are the only numbers you're looking at, and those numbers are questionable to begin with, then yeah, the whole thing seems extremely scary. But if you actually factor it in by how many people die every single day, every single month, every single year of all these other things, which most people are not even aware of, then it paints a very different picture. If you look at the age, like the average age of death is over 80. And we don't want anybody dying, of course. But again, there's a difference between someone who's 89 dying and someone who's 20 dying, and someone who's 10 dying. Like, we know this, right? And I think one of the huge silver linings that no one even talks about with regards to this virus is it virtually does not kill young people, which is amazing. Like, if children were dropping dead left, right. Sorry?
The lockdowns might be, though. The lockdowns are causing more people to commit suicide and drink alcohol and smoke more. Smoking and tobacco sales are like going through the roof right now.
Of course. Of course, yeah. I mean, violent crime is going up. Suicide's going up. Like, you know, people dying of other diseases, people dying of cancer because they can't get in because all of these resources are all being designated to COVID. Like, you know, I think people need to remember that an overreaction can be just as dangerous as no reaction or an underreaction. It could be more dangerous. And so I'm very much in the camp, again, as someone who's just level-headed. I'm not saying, oh, there should be no response and we should just like sit there and let this thing like run through society. That's not my approach. But we already know, we've known since February, we've known since March that it's elderly people who are most susceptible, right? People have been dying in nursing homes primarily. We know there are certain underlying health conditions which affect people. So treating someone who's 85 and has underlying health conditions the same way you're treating a 15-year-old who's perfectly healthy is stupid, to put it simply. Like, it's stupid. And this is what we've been doing, just this one size fits all model, which is happening across all these different countries, et cetera. And it's just weird. And like you said, it's crazy because you can't really, this is the first thing in my lifetime where it's like, you can't really escape it by leaving a country. So if you're in the US and you come to the UK, it's like, oh, it's kind of the same thing. So I've been to Greece and to Romania during this pandemic. And, you know, it's weird. It's like whatever country you go to, you're the same thing. It's, you know, masks, you go in a shop, you know, people are wearing masks, like you'll put the mask on, you get in a taxi, why do you put a mask on? The same thing, coronavirus this, coronavirus that. And it's even got the same name in every language, right? In every language, coronavirus is coronavirus. Yeah. In every language, COVID is COVID. So you can't understand everything else, but you can hear when people are talking about COVID or coronavirus or masks, et cetera, right? Like, I now know how to say wear a mask in Romanian, right? It's because it's the thing you keep, port masca, right? Because like you hear it all the time. And
what's it like in Greece? Is Greece going nuts? They shouldn't be because they can't afford to because they're dying anyway. But anyway.
I was in Greece in August. It was cool. I was in a pretty quiet area. And yeah, no, Greece was all right. I don't know what it's like right now. I mean, just like, to be honest, in the summer, the UK was better than it is now because there was the lockdown and then stuff opened up again and people were going out again and stuff was there. And then boom, November, they've done another lockdown, which has just ended on the 2nd of December yesterday. So, I don't know. It's not sustainable what they're doing. Like it's not sustainable. I've never seen such a ridiculous global reaction on this level. I've never seen so many people, just millions and millions of people just like running on emotion and not very much logic. Sure, there's some logic like within there, but most of this year has just been emotion. And as someone who's like very unemotional, it's been a weird one for me to witness because I'm just trying to stay sane and be a voice of reason and you know, even calm other people down. But a lot of people don't want to be calmed down. I think a lot of people are quite enjoying all this. A lot of people like fear. A lot of people like hysteria. People even like the lockdowns. There's a lot of people actually like the lockdowns, and that creates a very perverse incentive. And all the politicians don't have to suffer. You know, they're still getting paid. None of them have You know, if politicians had not been paid for all the time they've prevented other people from being paid, then these lockdowns would have ended a long time ago. But the incentives are not lined up, and that's what human beings run on.
So do you predict anything, at least in America, at least, do you predict anything for next year? I mean, we're going to have a new president, presumably Biden, Joe Biden, unless anything changes and Supreme Court rules otherwise. Biden says that he's going to be stricter with the lockdowns than Trump has been, but do you think he will?
I don't know. I mean, America's funny because people have been calling, the people who don't like Trump have been calling him a fascist for the past 4 years. And then they also decry when he doesn't actually behave like a fascist. Like if Trump were actually a fascist, this would be an amazing year to seize power. Amazing year to seize power, right? He could just take grab the executive branch, grab that federal power and just institute whatever he wanted. But he actually did what you're supposed to do in America, right? He kicked it back to the states and said, no, like the governors and the mayors at a more geographically specific level are the ones who should make the rules and make the policies around this, and the federal government helps support that. But it seems like half of your country at least doesn't really, I don't know, like people often say that
they're brainwashed. They follow everything it says.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me I'm more American than a lot of Americans these days. But I understand how America is supposed to generally function on a governmental level, and I understand that it's not all just like top down like it is in most European countries, right? You have states can create their own laws. States have their own individual governments, and you go to Texas and the laws are different to California, and you go to Tennessee and they're different, and the tax rates are different, and the laws around gun ownership are different, and the cannabis are different, and all these different things. Whereas you don't have that in a country like the UK, right? You've just got one. It's more top down, like the local. There's less on the local level. And so I think Trump did what he was supposed to do. And whilst people are screaming fascist, if you actually look at what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want to do with a lot of their policies, it's a lot more authoritarian than anything, Trump is doing, right? They're the ones who want to infringe on the First Amendment and infringe on the Second Amendment and institute, nationwide mask mandates and lockdowns, et cetera. That if anyone knows what fascism actually means, I'm not saying that is fascism itself, but it's certainly closer to fascism than saying you're going to kick it back to the governors and the mayors. So, ultimately, I think people don't like it when I say this, but I think countries get the leaders they deserve, at least in a democracy. People really don't like it when I say that, but I think that's the truth. And I don't mean that on like a super surface level. I mean that on quite a deep level. Yeah. And if people think that the problem is that there's only two choices, then again, it's up to the people to create more choices, or, there are other choices, but if people don't want to ever vote outside of the binary split because they don't want to feel like their vote is being wasted, then you're always going to just have that binary split in the two-party system.
If America goes down, then there isn't anywhere to go. It's not like we can go to where would you go? Mexico? Go to
there's a lot of places you could go.
Where is freedom valued more than it is in the United States?
At this given moment?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do a lot of Americans most Americans take their freedoms for granted, right? Americans are certainly, like the left in America, are always trying to like reduce the amount of freedoms they have, really. They don't want the First Amendment. They don't want the Second Amendment. They don't want all these, they're quite opposed to this. They're saying, no, we don't want these guns. Take them away. We don't want free speech. Like, give us hate speech laws, all this. So, human beings are weird. When human beings are oppressed, they want freedom. And when they have freedom, they want to be oppressed, or they want to be controlled. Like we've seen this year. People are literally protesting to be put in lockdown. People are advocating. You have people who are advocating to be put under house arrest. Like, think about that. People are actually saying, like, no, we want lockdowns. Like, lock us down, please. As if they can't just stay in their house if they want to. It's like, no, like, government, please, daddy government, please lock me down. Please, like, stop me from going to restaurants. Please don't allow me to go to the gym. Please force all the businesses to shut. Like,
they don't want to.
Crazy.
They don't want to be locked down, though. They know that if you look at the people saying, please lock us down, those people look at their jobs, look at the things that they do. Either they don't have a job, So it doesn't matter for them. Or they are a politician, someone who works in government, someone who works in healthcare, or any like essential business that's protected by these exemptions. So really, their thinking is that all those other stupid people that are spreading the virus will be locked down. Because I have an exemption. I'm an essential worker or something like that. If you look at the, or I have, I work for the government. Like in DC, there's so many of these people. They work for government. They don't do anything anyway. And they get to just stay home and get paid. I mean, for them, it means that they can stay home and keep getting paid without going to work.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying about the incentives being screwed up, right? The people who make the decisions, they don't have skin in the game, right? Let me find someone who's like actually lost their job and lost their income and is struggling to feed themselves or feed their family or pay their rent or their mortgage or whatever, who is still in December now, almost a year in, who's still super pro lockdown. You won't. The people who are pro lockdown, either they don't have a job to begin with, or they have a job, but they can just work from home and their income is not affected. I think this is actually one of the funny hypocrisies about the whole thing, because, it shouldn't be the case that like the approach to COVID is like a left-right split, but this is what has sort of happened, right? And, a lot of the people on the left who claim that they are, the champions of the poor and trying to fix inequality and champions of this and champions of that, like they don't care that the greatest wealth transfer in history and the fastest has probably just taken place. Like Amazon are loving this. Walmart are loving this, right? Google, Facebook, Twitter, like they're like, look who's still making all the money, right? Look where all this money's going on, right? So Walmart didn't get shut down. Amazon didn't get shut down. Like Jeff Bezos has made, he's become the second richest man in the world now, or the richest. Like, I don't even know. He already was the richest, but he's earned like, I don't know, another 20% on top of his ridiculous wealth or whatever. And they don't care. They don't care that it's, people in, poorer communities who do certain jobs who are more likely to have become unemployed or lost. Like, it's easy to sit there in your house in LA or, your nice spot in New York or DC or whatever, and be on your Zoom calls working from home, talking about everyone should just stay home and save lives. Like, same like people in the UK, people are sitting there in their London, in North London, in their like nice flat or house or whatever. And they're like talking about everyone else as being selfish for actually wanting to go to work and run their businesses or whatever. I've never seen so much flipping hypocrisy in my life. It's insane. It's why I look there. Oh man, I don't know. Like, I'm such a chill person, but I feel like this year has made me like, I feel like this year has made me like people in general less, which is really bad. But like the amount of hypocrisy, like whether you're talking like governors, coming out and virtue signaling about masks and lecturing everyone on social distancing and staying home and whatever, and then they're going out and they're having fancy dinners and they're not wearing masks or whatever, or they're trying to lock down the gyms and then they're going to their gym, they're locking down the hair salons, and then Nancy Pelosi is getting her hair done or whatever. It's happening in all these different countries, and I'm just like, I can't deal with you people, man. I can't deal with you people. All you people who were pro BLM protests, who are out there on the street shouting, not socially distancing, thousands and thousands of you. And now you're the ones who are like virtue signaling about how people need to stay home and how we should wear a mask and vaccines should be mandated. I'm like, like all of you blew, like throughout this year, everyone has just been blowing their ability for me to take them seriously. Not everybody, but large swathes of people. And I'm just like, look, like I have a long-term memory. You can't shift the goalposts on me 500 times and expect me to still take you seriously. Like if you are saying one thing and then you're going out and doing another, then I just can't take people seriously. And a lot of that's been revealed. So I know who I'll be doing more with in the future, and I know who I will socially distance myself from in the future as well.
Who do you want to be doing more with in the future?
Oh wow. Anyone who's cool, man. Anyone who's cool. And I've connected with a ton of new people this year.
Hollywood is going down. So
what's that?
Hollywood is going down. I mean, I personally, I know I asked you the question, but I'll tell you who I want to be dealing with in the future. Hollywood is going down. In my mind, like cable TV is kind of like irrelevant because they're also dying. Yeah. The people I want to be associating with in the future is people like you, people who are online and independent, because those are the people that are growing fast, and they're gonna keep growing. I mean, not just this year, but constantly, because everybody gets their entertainment from online already at this point.
Yeah.
And it's going to become even more and more decentralized as people keep sticking to YouTube and live streams like ours, and you know, you see a lot of our friends are actually making their own movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
So it's just going to keep going that way. That's where the money's going to go in the future. But
yeah, most definitely. And you know, I think someone like yourself and what I do, you know, we're well positioned for that. That's a change that's been happening. I mean, as being a musician, this is something that was foreseen a long time ago, right? Because the music world sort of had the whole digital revolution a lot earlier than most other people. Like, a lot of people are just hitting the digital revolution now, whereas in music, like, we've been dealing with like the conversion from CDs to downloads, from downloads to streaming, all of this stuff. Like, this has been going on for the past 15 years in the music world. And now suddenly people are like, oh, you know, the average person who works in an office or whatever has just discovered Zoom this year, or just discovered live streaming, and, you know, webcams sold out everywhere, etc. So we got the drop on a lot of people with all this. So, you know, with live streams like this, podcasts, ebooks, online sales, e-commerce, social media, all of this stuff, man, like, the people who are really good at that are going to be those people are going to inherit the earth, because we got another 4 billion people who are going to come online in the next 10 to 15 years. And what's already happened in the West is going to happen again. There's a lot of things people don't realize. Like, the past 12 years we've had, that's going to happen again for like billions of other people. So people who are already like, know how to make videos, know how to do podcasts, know how to do this, know how to do that, like, they're going to kill it.
do you think I should start doing it? Do you think I should start making like a Farsi, like a YouTube channel that's all in Farsi, just for like the Farsi speaking world? I don't know.
I mean, you can
watch.
You could certainly try it. I don't know what the audience. I don't know what the audience is like for Farsi, but I'm sure there's massive Farsi channels out there. Like, I don't know. Like, why not give it a shot?
Yeah, you just gave me that idea, because the Farsi entertainment in Iran, like the Iranian entertainment, is very controlled.
Okay.
The government doesn't really allow almost anything fun. So, and people who leave don't. I don't know. There aren't a lot of Iranians that are making YouTube channels and stuff. So maybe I can make a Farsi channel.
Yeah, why not? I mean, like, look, I'm a fan of whatever idea people have, especially if it's something that, like, you can start with virtually no money and without, you know, huge barriers to entry, etc. I'm like, do it. Just try it. Like, if you've got a book, if you've got an idea for a book, do it. You got an idea for a podcast, do it. You got an idea for a YouTube channel, for an Instagram page, what, like, just do it. Like, just, there's no, like, back in the day, to start a business or to get some of these ideas started, it took so much effort, and it took money, and it was very difficult, etc. The barriers to entry have never been lower. Barriers to entry have never been lower. I mean, getting off topic slightly, I mean, that's something that's so interesting, because right now there's so much conversation about the rising cost of education. And I think that's funny, because education's never been cheaper and freer than it is. But, like, people haven't gotten into their heads yet that education doesn't just mean like school and college.
Yeah.
Right. You can literally learn anything, from learning a language to how to play the guitar, to how to program, to how to start a podcast, to how to be a photographer, whatever. You can literally learn all this stuff for free or cheap on the internet. You literally, like, almost everything I've learned, which I actually make money from these days. I mean, I learned none of it in university. And it's all stuff that I pretty much learned online, or mostly through online. And people haven't, I don't know. On one hand, I feel like people have, like, embraced the internet and they understand its power and potential, but on another hand, they really haven't. Like, the average person doesn't have a clue, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I know people who make I know a lot of people who make 6 figures just on Twitter.
Holy.
I make 6 figures from Twitter.
Nice.
Yeah, like, I make six figures just on my Twitter. Like I don't normally reveal that, but I do.
That's so
And
cool.
I know people who make 7. I know people who have Twitter accounts generating over $1 million a year.
Whoa.
Right? There are people on YouTube making 8 figures. There are people on Instagram making 8 figures. All right. There's people on doing podcasts. Joe Rogan is making 9 figures off his podcast.
Wow.
You know, like people aren't getting like what's going on here. It's just like this is insane. Like the potential is just nuts. Like you can do, I don't know, like that's the thing with Twitter as well, is like with Twitter and other social media, so many people are like, oh, Twitter's stupid, it's a waste of time as well. I'm like, are you
They're
crazy?
stupid.
Like
Oh, they're so stupid.
we wouldn't be doing this without Twitter. Like we wouldn't know who each other are. Like the people I've connected with, like how did I get on all this stuff I'm telling you about? Like the reason people know me is because of Twitter. I got invited to the White House 3 times through Twitter. I got invited to the Pentagon through Twitter. I got invited to Joe Rogan. I'm connected to Joe Rogan. Like he was DMing me the other day. Like I'm connected to Joe Rogan. I'm connected to Ben Shapiro. I'm connected to all these people because of Twitter. And people are there like, oh, it's a waste of time, whatever. When I went to the States, every single city I was in, I did meetups. I was like, cool. Like I'm in Nashville. Who wants to meet up, go for dinner? Boom, 25 people. Like I'm out for dinner with 25 of my Twitter followers. It's like, this is phenomenal. Like what is like, people just don't realize what the power of all this stuff. Same with YouTube.
Stupid.
And
People are stupid. People
I don't like to call people stupid. I feel like bad when I like generally say that. But like, I just think, I don't know. We live in this time where, I don't know, people focus on the negative too much, and people view the cup as half full. And they just see the downsides to everything. Are there downsides to social media? Of course. Are there downsides to all of this stuff? Of course, right? Can people get addicted to things in bad ways and use things in bad ways? And there's this and there's that. There's trolling, there's harassment. Like, trust me, I know about all that. I receive more of it than 99% of people. But what you can do with these tools and the ability to connect, like the fact that you can connect to anyone in the world through this. Like, do people realize that? Like this brick, that this magic like slab that everyone has, you can literally reach the president. Donald Trump retweeted me earlier this year. The president of the USA. I was sitting in this room, right? I wrote a tweet on this thing, which I thought up in like 20 seconds. And the man sitting in the White House retweeted it to like 80 million people. Like, what is this world we live in? Like, how can you not see the power of that? Like, you can just jump on here. Anyone listening to this podcast right now, you can just go on Twitter right now at Zuby Music. You can send me a message. You can send Pardes a message. You can just message people. That's insane. That didn't used to be possible. If you wanted to reach a president or a musician or a presenter or an athlete or this or that before, it was impossible. You couldn't reach people. Now it's just like, oh, I want to reach this person. Boom, there's their email. Boom, there's their Twitter. There's their Instagram, whatever. And are you always going to get a response? No, but the people you can connect with is just nuts. I mean, I don't know, like I've got like, I don't even know, like some of the people I've connected with through social media is insane. It's insane. Like, I don't even think I can like reveal all the names, but like, it's insane. Like, I'm talking millionaires, billionaires, like globally renowned people, athletes, musicians, like famous people, actors, politicians, whatever. Even with the podcast, like, you know, it's, I don't know, like it's just crazy. I'm sure you have the same thing, right? I'm sure you've had some interactions on social media with people where you're just like, oh wow, did I just like connect with like did I just connect with this person? Like, what's going on?
All kinds of people. And I mean, nothing, I wouldn't say anything is a mistake, but I listened for so long to people who, because I spent a lot of time working for people and, you know, 9-to-5 jobs and kind of sticking to that lifestyle for a while. It was really hard for me to let go and just like become self-employed. But in that world, people do think of Twitter as like kind of silly. And I've been asked so many times to delete my Twitter account, to delete all social media. And the thing with that is like, you have no control over your public. It's they want you to people don't appreciate how amazing it is. And for me, it's been amazing. Like,
phenomenal. I mean, you've got what, 60 something thousand followers on Twitter?
Yeah, I think it's like 64,000. And I'm growing my YouTube. I'm growing Instagram. I created separate channels, by the way, for everything. I don't know if I told you, I became a real estate agent in Texas.
I saw it on where did I see it? I saw it on your YouTube actually.
Oh, nice.
Congrats, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You bought your first house, yeah?
Oh yeah, I bought my first house.
Congratulations, that's dope.
Thanks. Yeah, and it feels amazing. This is something that just, this is the one thing outside of social media that I feel like I was so passionate about. It was real estate, and it feels cool to finally be doing it in a state that kind of cares more about freedom, and it's also in general it's a good for business kind of state. You get to keep your keep more of your money and make more of it. But
yeah, can I just say, anyone, don't listen to anybody telling you to delete your social media accounts. They're insane.
Yeah.
They don't have a clue. Like, do you know what 64,000 people looks like in real life? Do you have like a scale of what that looks like?
I don't know. It's most people in my real life up until kind of recently wouldn't even know about that. It feels like a totally different world until I meet people in person.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, like, okay, so like, I think the thing with the internet is people get like confused with numbers, because people get used to just seeing these like big numbers and they don't really like think of what it means. So like, where, I don't know, like which part of Texas are you in?
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Dallas, Fort Worth. Okay. So like huge metro area.
Yeah.
So I know there's like millions of people there. I'm trying to think. Okay. So like, I'm trying to think what would be like, what's like a big sport? Yeah. Is there like a big sports stadium there? I don't know. Where do the Mavericks play?
Let's see. I'm going to Google it.
Yeah. Where do the Mavericks play?
American Airlines Center. Let's see.
Okay. What's the capacity?
American Airlines Center capacity 20,000. Whoa.
Okay. Okay, 20,000. So that's the same size of like the O2 Arena in the UK, which is like one of the biggest non-stadium, which is the biggest non-stadium venue in the UK. So the amount of people following you just on Twitter is the equivalent to 3 of those arenas.
Whoa.
And if you've like seen that number of people in real life, and then you can fathom like, okay, like that's the amount of people who have like voluntarily chosen to follow Pardes, who know like who you are and what you're about. Like, it's insane. That's phenomenal. You can reach them. You can reach them all from your phone. Like, it's insane. I mean, with me, the city where I live in the UK, I live in a city. The population of my city, I think, is 280,000. So I have 50,000 more followers than my entire city. Every time I tweet, it's like me standing with a megaphone talking to an entire city. Like, that's crazy. Like that's insane. Like, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. Like when you sing these YouTubers with like, you get YouTubers who are like, oh, my video only got, say someone's like, starting at someone's like, oh, my video only got 500 views. And I'm like, do you know what 500 people looks like? Do you know how many, like, if you stood in a room and you spoke to 500 people and you're not a public speaker, you would be terrified. You'd be like, cool. Yeah, like that's like a big room full of people. Some people are like, oh, my video only got 20,000 views. I'm like, 20,000 people, like 20,000 people tuned in to listen to like your conversation, like your podcast. Like, that's crazy. That's like having a whole arena. You're in the Dallas Mavericks stadium and you're just having this like whole, you're just there like conversing with this thing. Like, it's nuts. I mean, I run a podcast as well, and it's not doing, Joe Rogan numbers or anything like that. Not even close. Right. But, every episode is getting like on average, I don't know, in terms of listeners, it's like averaging between 10 and 20,000 per episode. And yeah, I'm like, oh, I want to get it to 50,000. I want to get it to 100,000. But I'm like, man, 10,000 people are listening to like me talking on Skype or me talking on Zoom to like somebody else. Like, that's crazy. That's just amazing that you can reach those people, and not just the breadth, but also like the depth, like being actually able to really, really connect with people. It's so powerful.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see like how far it goes and how you evolve basically.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
Thanks. And
I'll have to get you on my podcast at some point.
that would be so cool. I would be so honored. And it is. I'm still like, oh my god, I can't believe you agreed, and that's really cool. Also, I don't want to ignore that a lot of people have been asking questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and first of all, I'll go to the people who asked on the tweets because we told them first.
Okay, sure.
So, let's see. Why is everybody asking how tall you are? There's
Oh, because I came out as 6'5" earlier today.
Oh, I see. So they're like, yeah. How tall do you identify?
Yeah, I'm 6'5", so I don't want anyone to dead height me.
Okay. Let's see. CrossFit. What? All right. James Zukowski says, Zuby, would you ever do parody raps?
Probably not. If it was something I was going to do, then I would have done that a lot earlier, but it doesn't really interest me. I'm more into making new original content, and I don't really want to. I think if you start doing parody raps, you sort of end up in that box, and it's hard for people to take your serious stuff seriously. So no.
Yeah, like the guy, what's his name? Filthy Frank. He's doing kind of like, okay. He's like the Japanese guy. He's like half Japanese.
Okay, I don't think I know him.
And his stuff is so funny. Like it's like older videos. He was a YouTuber and he just did a lot of parody. And then now he has a band and he does like serious kind of like emo music. It's so hard to watch it without laughing.
Yeah, it's hard to do that transition. I think if you get into that lane, then you get pigeonholed into it. So I'd rather not.
Okay, cool. We got Exxon. Petrola says, is Zuby your real name and who named you?
I was named by my parents, like most people are. And Zuby is a shorter version of my full name. It's like an anglicized version of it.
What's your full name?
Unzube Chukoli Sebukau Deswe.
Whoa! How do you remember your name? How old were you when
how do I remember my name? No, my first name is the Zuby is short for Unzube.
Nice.
So Unzube is my like proper first name. So Zuby is like the sort of nickname version of it.
Well, I like Zuby. It's fun. It like rolls off the tongue, unlike my name. But it's too late for me to make a nickname.
You don't need a nickname. Yours is only 2 syllables.
Manpatria says, "Oh, Manpatria is coming here. Is watching us from South Africa. I was on his live stream I was on his podcast a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So he says, is 50 Cent Zuby's inspiration? Just realized his music reminds me of 50.
50's cool. He's not my main inspiration, but he's one of them. I'm a big 50 Cent fan. You know, I was very big into the G Unit era back in the early to mid 2000s. I was a teenage boy at that time, so I was definitely in the 50 Cent and G Unit market. I've got all of his albums, and there's a little bit of 50 influence in there. But yeah, I wouldn't say he's one of my main influences.
And by the way, I say 50 because the first time I ever said 50 Cent, like, I don't even remember who it was, but someone slammed at me like, it's not 50, it's 50.
50.
So, whatever that is, in case they watch this live stream, I don't want them to get angry at me again. Jay Rockwell says, should the U.S. break up into different countries?
Oh, wow. Probably not. I can see the temptation, but I don't think so. I think with the U.S. as well, it's like geographically, it's not possible. If the sort of split were just sort of like a north-south divide or like an east-west thing in terms of the ideological polarization, then maybe that would be more viable. But number one, I don't think things are. Again, I'm an optimist. I don't think things are realistically like so bad that there's no point that you're past the point of no return and you need to sort of break up or have a civil war or something. I don't think the Republican Democrat divide is that hardcore when it comes to reality rather than Twitter. So no, I don't think it should. But I think a lot of the challenges in the USA do stem from the fact that, I mean, people forget that it's the biggest country in the West by a mile. The U.S. is gigantic. It's the third biggest country in the world by population.
Yeah.
And people don't really realize that. I mean, even when people do things like comparing it to the U.K., I mean, the U.K. is smaller than California. The U.K. is smaller than Texas.
Yeah.
The whole U.K. is smaller than Texas, right? It's got a bit of a...
Because they used to be the biggest.
Sorry?
It's kind of sad because the British Empire used to be the biggest.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, British Empire used to be crazy. But yeah, I mean, the UK is smaller than several US states. And I mean, California has a bigger economy than almost every country in the world.
Whoa.
Right? I think there's only like 10 or 15 countries that have a bigger economy than California, just California. So the US is just gigantic. It's got so many people. It's way more diverse than most other countries as well. There's diversity in the UK, but the US is way more diverse than the UK. In every sense, ideologically, politically, ethnically, racially, everything. Like, it's just so much more diverse. Then you've got like all these other, I don't know, and the US is also a really young country. It's sort of like a teenager as far as countries go.
Yeah.
So I think the US has some of these teenage issues, if you think of it in that sense, where other countries that have been around for hundreds more years or even thousands more years, they've kind of been through certain things, and the US is still, it's like this big experiment that's going on out there. And I think it makes it a very fascinating and dynamic country. But I think the highs are higher over there and the lows are lower. And I think some of this problems stem from that.
Interesting. I'm going to keep that in mind. Okay, Liberty for Mankind. Freestyle right now.
Makes me freestyle right now. Oh gosh, I'm not even in rap mode right now. I can maybe do a little rap, but it won't be off the top.
How do you think of a rap? Like, how do you even? If I tried to do it, I wouldn't be able to. But how do you get in the mindset?
I don't know, but maybe I could try to do a little bit of a freestyle. Okay, let's see. So I'm not really right now mentally even in the zone, but it's Zuby right here spitting through the microphone off the top of the dome. I go the hardest. I'll be chilling right here doing a live stream with my homegirl Pardes. And you know how I be doing? Yeah, I'm like the smartest. I'm always ill, always sick. I'm never a quitter. If I'm mad dope, then you can follow me on Twitter, because I'm always going to be a winner. Because we ain't got time for the losers. I leave them bruising with contusions. It's not an illusion. Zuby's coming right through. And I got the fusion. I got a little style. I got the innovation. Spitting like style with the freestyle. Just a little bit of inspiration. And I give the people motivation every time they see me. You know how it is. Yeah, the ladies say he's dreamy. And I got to keep on flowing. I'm taking nothing from no one until I'm old and I'm slowing. And I'll be done with my flowing. I just keep going and going because you keep on spitting. And I'm off the top. Yeah, it ain't even written. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there you go. A little freestyle. Yeah! There you go.
Insane.
Okay. And that's a real freestyle. That's no like written pretending it's like freestyle. That's a real freestyle.
Whoa, that was insane. Insane, I mean amazing.
Thank you. So there you go. They got their freestyle.
Did you like think about that off the top of your head?
Yeah.
Like everything, it wasn't like, I mean,
no, there's nothing.
My name, and you rhymed my name. Like, I mean, unless you prepared a rap in advance with my name in it.
No. I prepared nothing. I wasn't even gonna freestyle, but I thought, let me give it a shot. I'm a rapper.
That was so cool. Can someone, someone, if you get a chance after this live stream, someone clip that out, or I'll clip it out and put that online. That was really cool. And
thank you.
I can tell that that's your I mean, that's your main thing. You're a rapper, and it's probably like part of it is probably that I see you on Twitter every day. I watch your music, but you work so hard on like a piece, like you work so hard on a rap or something, like it takes a while, and then you come out with like one product.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't see what kind of went behind that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Was yeah.
But I think next year a lot of people are going to get to know Zuby as a rapper again, because I'm going to be putting out a lot of new music next year. I've been writing it over the past couple months. I'm going to be recording it in January, so a lot of new music to come.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited. Okay, Robin World says, what was your record-setting bench press?
Oh, the bench press, the women's record, I think I did 130 kilos. So what's that in pounds? It's not any type of men's record, but I believe it was certainly the women's record in my weight class.
Whoa, 130.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not my best. My best is 147.5. But in the video, I think you're referring to, that was 130, and the deadlift was 230 kilos. Cool. Yeah.
Holy moly! In pounds, look it up in pounds. I don't know off the top of my head, but that's a lot. I mean.
Yeah, 130 should be like, what's it? Let me see. I feel like it's like high 200s. I don't think it's up to 300. 130 kg in pounds. 286.
Oh, nice.
And my best is 325.
Whoa.
Yeah. 286. So yeah, that's enough to take the women's record.
Whoa. Okay. Liberty News Post says, will you ever run for office, political office?
Maybe. I don't like saying never. Possibly. It's not on the horizon right now. I've got other things to do and other things that I'd much rather be doing. But who knows? Hopefully I'll live a long, healthy life, and in the next couple decades I'll achieve several things. And then maybe when I'm in my 50s or my 60s or even my 70s, I might be like, you know what? Let me throw my hat into the arena. But not just now. I got too much music to do, podcasts to make, books to write, and people to entertain.
That's so cool. Thank you so much for joining. That was really
You're very welcome. I enjoyed it.
Anything else you want to say to our viewers? By the way, Top Lobster, thank you so much for the super chat, and thanks for complimenting my shoulder shimmy dance moves.
No, nothing massive. Follow me on all platforms if you don't already, at Zuby Music. You can check out my podcast, Real Talk with Zuby, as well as all my music on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, all the usual spots. And the link to my book, Strong Advice, Zuby's Guide to Fitness for Everybody. If you need some fitness advice, then go check that out. And thank you, Pardes, for the opportunity. Yeah, and I'll include all those links in the YouTube in the description of this YouTube video, so you can just refresh it a little bit later, guys, and you'll see a lot of the links over there. Awesome. Thanks. Have a great weekend, guys.